been to Bar Harbor lately?
No,
Holy crap. You wouldn't believe it. You wouldn't recognize it.
really?
Yeah.
Guys, about ready?
Did you say?
Give me a second, it's going.
Wow. But yes, that's what it reminded me of for the school, yeah, which is why I like them to begin with.
We are ready. I'm gonna record us.
Okay. 7:02 on February 8th. I'd like to call the regular scheduled Town of Voluntown Planning and Zone meeting to order. Members present, Scott Davidson, Steve Stefanski, Joe Zampoli, Patricia Ray, and alternate Juliet Hodge. So Juliet, we'll see you tonight. Approval of minutes for January 2023.
Make a motion to approve them as written. Very nice.
Well, you weren't here, so I'd rather you do not.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
All right. Patricia, you want to second it?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes, I'll second.
All
Oh,
in
that's right,
favor?
Toby wasn't here either.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Any additions to the agenda? No. Citizens' comments, nobody's present. New business, March 8th, 2023, public hearing agenda review.
Everything in that list, Scott,
What?
is everything in that list is for the agenda. Do you want to sign those minutes?
You're having it, did you say you were having it here or at the school?
I'd be at the firehouse too, depending.
May I ask if, are the other alternative venues set up for hybrid meetings?
No,
The school can be, we just need to get, Ron Blank, what's his name? Dean,
wait,
Where?
yes, to set it up at the school. If not, it would probably end up having to be here because the firehouse is not.
Because on something like this, I would assume you would want to make it sort of widely available, both in person and via Zoom. So members of the public can participate.
my question to you, John, on this is, are you gonna present this? Or are we just,
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
okay,
I mean, the commission is the applicant on it, so yeah,
Absolutely.
we would do the presentation. I would be happy to.
oh, did I see? Was there a letter as well from NECOG? This one's from Steve Hodge.
No, just
No,
that,
NECOG didn't respond.
Okay. I'm gonna look through my emails because I think maybe they responded to me in an email.
okay,
So I will check with that stuff. Tomorrow's a busy day, but by the end of the week, and if you don't hear from me, could you call me on Monday?
Yeah.
And remind me, because I thought I saw one from you guys as well, but.
For the instructions, anything else, that I think it's good to remind the public that it's not a back and forth to address their comments to the commission. Versus sometimes they'll get starting.
Out
talking
in
to
the
each other in
audience, yeah, I agree.
Well,
Yeah.
so, well, that was why in the packet there, like, there's some questions on the agenda, like, we should have them speak at a podium.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Give
saying.
them a
I would
time
suggest
limit.
to add that one to it
I mean, what do we want for a time limit?
Let's say no more than 3 minutes.
Yeah,
The first time around. Yeah, but- You know, after everybody goes.
Yeah.
Come back.
If anybody goes.
Right.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't think you will?
Well, people. Everybody's great on a survey and they can get tough email warrior, then,
Oh,
And
really?
then
yeah,
you show.
I
up
see
on
it every
meeting.
day, so it's, I
I mean-
don't know.
look at town meetings,
You'll get a
look
few.
at how many people end up showing up.
Last one I went to at the school, there
Not
was
many.
3 of us.
Yeah, not many.
Yeah. I don't know, it could go either way.
Cannabis though, maybe,
Don't-
maybe.
maybe-
It could go either way, it really could.
Can't be bothered after.
All right, well, never mind.
I mean, nobody's shown up along the way to say anything either.
No, but like what John said, that's good, because if we didn't do it somewhere where there was video access, that would be the
Absolutely.
next thing. Oh, well, I couldn't
Yeah,
log
I
into the
couldn't.
meeting. Oh, okay.
Right.
But
So
yeah,
I think the firehouse is totally out then.
It would be very difficult to get it set up there.
Okay.
It just leaves another excuse of somebody, you know.
Now, let me ask you this, can we do? Worst case scenario, can we do it here? But limit the participation, but because they can do it online, we're really not limiting?
If you're
That's a
having-
possibility. Now, what I've seen done in the past is that, and I think it was in Griswold, where they started at the town hall, and when they got the capacity, they moved it.
Right, but I don't think you could limit it if you're putting out a public hearing.
Right, I
You
don't,
say,
I
"Oh,
don't
first
think,
50
I don't think
people,
you
sorry."
could limit- I think we have to move.
That would be tough at that point in time too.
Well, if we have somebody on standby to move for it, but the space is available,
So do we not have it booked in because we don't know if it's available?
right? Because they have first dibs on it over there for any, and it's basketball season.
I can make some calls. Told my wife, she works in the office.
if the firehouse had good Wi-Fi, we could jerry rig something, like we could, you know, use their Wi-Fi and set up a screen.
Right, we had the Beach Pond Commission, or whatever they were calling it, there before, and it was tough.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think the Wi-Fi over there is very good. But all that's something you're working on, right, John?
The Wi-Fi at the fire station?
Well,
The
upgrades to the fire
location,
station.
I've been working with them on it.
Yeah, it's taken Tracy a month and a half just to get the contract with the architect figured out. That's not on her, that's on the architect, but yeah, that's a slow going process.
When did they give you an answer, Sue, when they would be able to tell you, or for the school?
Not particularly.
Okay.
The answer that we got was basketball season, and they would get back to us, so we'll follow up.
Well, I
This
mean,
was just a preliminary to make sure, I mean.
we have a date though, so
Yeah,
Like-
well, what's the and you probably need Sue, have we done the advertisement yet?
Yes,
paper?
it's on the, advertising is on the billboard in town. It's in town hall here, it's posted in the post office, it's been on
saw
Facebook,
it
and it
shared
went
there.
out in the,
So what does it say for location?
it did not,
Oh, okay.
it did
So,
not,
when we put we have to, because it's a public hearing, we have to put the legal ad in the paper.
yes.
Yeah.
which
We'll need a location for that.
Correct,
I guess is there concern, what's the capacity of the room you guys are in?
I don't know,
25, I think. I think it's 25.
which I don't know that we've had more than 25 for a town meeting over.
No, I know, I think,
We were at a pretty large one when they had it for
yeah,
there were quite a few people here.
yeah, with the town garage.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, even when we had a decent turnout
Yeah.
for that. I mean, I say we just have it here with the intention that if we gotta move.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, is there any way we can do outdoor space?
March.
with the way this year is going, it's possible.
You know, I don't know.
I don't think it's unreasonable to have it there, see how it goes. And I would also put, in the legal ad, and on the agenda, include the Zoom link,
Yes, definitely.
Yeah,
so that it's clear that there is a virtual option.
I almost wonder, can we encourage, well, so through the Zoom link, they can just type in questions, correct?
Yes,
Okay,
and people can raise their hand so that you can, so like, I just raised my hand on the screen so you can see if
Okay.
someone wants to be recognized.
Or they'll just talk out loud like most people do and it'll not be an interrupt and back and forth.
Well, Sue and I can mute them.
3-minute cutoff.
ooh, that could be fun.
Yeah. We got the podium up here, so we pulled that out, put it like in the front. It could be whichever way you guys wanted to do that, whether you want the podium to face you or whether you want
I
it to
think
face the
probably have
camera.
a face.
I would have it face the camera,
Yeah, so everybody can see who's up.
correct.
I agree with you.
Yeah, but they're gonna be looking at us.
Oh, I'd rather,
Well, if
That's
you put them
all
on that, on the side then pointing out.
We
then
can
you kinda
have,
get
just like
both,
it is
yeah.
right here. With the screen. I'll figure out how we can make
so
it.
if that's the case.
It's,
could
that's
that-
gonna go, we'll get rid of it.
Okay,
That should be out of here before then, the
Okay.
people that got
that's
it.
the only request I have.
Oh, yeah, because that takes up a lot of
It
space.
does.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch, there's several kilos of marijuana in there. You want to take those out before you move the.
Cool. It's not cannabis? You guys see anything else?
There is an example of, after the agenda, there is the regulation itself.
Yep.
As well,
And then it's-
at the end of that, I wanna say, I put in there the legal ad at the end to run February 24th and March 3rd.
Yeah, so you already have at the town hall anyways, in that app.
Yeah, well, and it hasn't been submitted yet,
Okay.
and we want to add Zoom.
Oh, so you don't even, I was just gonna ask you curiosity, how much that ad was.
Oh, I'll let you know after. If we put the Zoom link and everything in there, that's gonna take up a couple of lines all on itself, so it'll be a good one.
Okay. It is what it is. Anybody else have anything to say about that one?
We might be getting all prepped up for not much
Nothing.
interaction at all, so. And quite honestly, after that point, it's opinion, it's everybody's personal opinion, so. Kind of way out.
So, I mean,
there.
it is personal opinion, but it's also. I mean, they could have given us feedback all along, and nobody's given us feedback.
Well, it's tough because say you don't care about it, you don't mind if this goes in, you're not gonna come.
Right.
The people that are totally against it, the ones that show up, so that night's gonna look horrible, oh my God, you shouldn't do it, but. The rest of the town might not care. Yeah,
Unless there's somebody that wants to come in and really advocate for it, you're gonna have
you might have. a couple.
opposite ends
Yeah,
show up
you
that
might.
night.
I would say be prepared for that.
Yeah, well, better to be that way for sure.
All right, so I just want to make sure for the minutes, John is gonna present the proposed regulation.
Yep.
At the meeting, we had the Zoom link on the agenda and included in the legal ad, and we decided to try to do it here.
Yeah, I think,
Okay.
how's the board feel?
Sounds good.
And then set a.
Prepare for the
3-minute
worst, and I would
timer.
say you go for the place you can hold everybody. Because if you get here and it takes an hour to go set up
Yeah.
over there, now you've lost an hour,
Well, and what's gonna happen?
if we
too
can set up over there.
Is that I think that we could do if somebody wants to come in to speak, they may not want to sit around for the whole meeting. They may want to come in, say what they have to say. And then boogie.
Most of those people usually want to listen to what everybody else has to say.
I-
But I
Bigger.
haven't really heard anything from anybody saying,
There has not been anybody come into this building
asking about it.
and
Well,
asked about
On the
it.
shared
Me-
posts online where you think you'd at least get some smart comments, there've been nothing.
Nothing.
I watched them on
Nothing.
purpose, waiting for the,
Nobody's come in to ask for, Carl Grenier asked for a complete write-up about
He wanted
the
the
proposed,
regs.
huh?
He wanted the regs.
Yeah, what he wanted the cannabis, proposed cannabis regulation, because I think he wanted to do it at one point.
Okay.
So he was the only person that came in and asked to read the regulations.
maybe here,
Yeah.
maybe it'll discourage some people. Not prolong stuff if they're just gonna argue too.
Well, if we have a time
I
limit,
think, here's a safe bet.
Well, like she said, they got a time limit first time around, then they go open discussion, they can go as long as they want.
Hey, did you put it on that Friends of Wallentown thing? I guess there's a lot of people on that thing.
I think I put it on dwelling.
Yeah, maybe is that what it's? called?
Yes,
Dwelling involved.
I'm pretty sure it went on.
Yeah, I'm not on it.
On dwelling, it went on the.
Really?
And a couple of people shared it from the town website
Mhm.
when
Yeah.
it went out as well, but there were no comments on it. There were just, I think, 2 shares.
But are the regs, the actual regs,
No, I was just
Is
talking about the meeting.
just talking
It was
about?
just, it was her thing notifying of the meeting coming up.
Okay.
Usually people just can't help themselves to make it.
Oh, I know,
There was
yeah.
Nothing. I was kind of shocked.
Say, I can't get in, but. All right. So let's move along. We're good with all this? Sue, you good with it?
Yeah.
Okay. Old business, the 2023-2024 budget.
The only reason we pushed it off was you were gonna talk to,
Where is it?
Yeah.
I believe that
Somebody-
came last week. I don't
oh God, I can't remember her name now.
Tracy?
Yeah.
This is
God.
something else for me.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
You have a copy of it?
I don't.
I can, does anybody bring a copy of it?
I did not.
Would they give you guys
Well,
folders?
So,
I'm pretty sure I did.
John, do you have it with you? Could you put it up there, please?
Wait, have what?
Budget. So, long and short, I talked to Tracy. They wanted me to go to a selectmen's meeting that night. That wasn't what I got from the correspondence that we all saw here. I spoke with Tracy, they're splitting the planner half and half. is what's happening.
Could you let me share the screen?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Do you mind if I talk, John, while you?
No, go ahead.
Okay, I talked to her, they're splitting it half to the selectmen's budget, half to our budget. We're actually not assuming a whole year because the contract that he has and the grant that they had takes him half of that year. So I mean, we have some stuff that I think we could use a plan.
We use them every
Yeah.
time, so.
I
To me, like, even like I brought to you last month, it just seems like all you're doing is playing a shell game with money. Oh, we're gonna pay
Yeah.
it from over here, but the
Wow.
money's still coming from here.
here's my only take on it. So, I mean, it is what it is. And I looked at other town budgets, it's always, the planner is always in the planning and zoning budget. Some people are paying $2,000 for a planner, some people are paying $180,000 for a line item in this planner.
Where's that? Can I go there?
I don't know, I forgot where it was.
That was Ledyard, Juliet.
Yeah. But they're all over the map. But it was like,
They're in the 80s, 70s.
no, and I think it was 2 people is what they had. They had a planner and something else. They were together, it was an combined line item. So anyways. they're all over the map. You know, there's a lot of 4 or 5 thousands, which are through CCOG and through RECOG. I think anybody that's dealt with NECOG in this would probably be of support of not going. I'm trying to say it politely.
I agree a
CCOG
100%.
Charges 104% overhead for their planner.
Whatever, I
104.
just,
I'm not.
I don't think we wanna go there. The only thing that I'm having a quandary about is our last 4 years, the budget was, and that's what these numbers are. We have turned back in out of our budget that we didn't use $21,000. And it's in the general. And I think that we should probably pull over the next 2 years out of the general fund, that money that was through the planning and zoning. But probably won't happen.
They don't typically give it.
Not
No,
exactly,
once-
but
once it's
So
done, it's
with
done.
that brought up.
That's what-
Last year.
Yep.
We approved for that development on Brown Road, the money in lieu of open space.
Mhm.
Where did that money go?
that,
Wired to go into an open space fund.
yeah,
By
they
law.
were supposed to set up, the town was supposed to set up an open.
I've never heard of it since we approved that.
Yeah,
Oh, you should check on that. That's.
That was like $19,000 or something we agreed to.
yeah,
You don't have an open space fund in your
we
budget,
never did, no.
not your budget, in the
No,
town.
no, we never did.
This was the first time we've
This was
ever
the
taken
first
the
time
money
they've
in
ever
lieu
done
of
it.
open space.
They gotta set that up.
Yes, first time that they've done it.
I want to check on that.
So. I mean, I don't think that it would fly that they'll let us defer that money, but. I just think it's wrong that the taxpayers have been overpaying on that part and now. But it is what it is. I mean, in the end of the day, it's all our, you know.
It's all gonna go back to something to do
All
with the town
come-
regardless, yeah.
What are your site plan fees?
Not a lot.
Any idea?
I don't, off the top of my head, I don't.
Or fee schedule posted?
It depends on what they're doing with them. You know what I mean? Because it could just be a $40 or $70 zoning fee that they go in for. If it comes here,
Plus the 60 to the state,
correct.
pretty low.
Yeah.
Because I'm just saying,
And then
advertising
if it's,
fees
it's
are out
like
of
when they come in
control.
for the public
That's all.
hearing and the Brown Road thing and all that kind of stuff, it was, I think they paid $550 plus $250 for the public hearing fees.
That's about right. That'll cover two.
Yeah. So when it's something big like that, then it is, but when it's something that Pete can handle, it's
If it's administrative.
right.
No, I know,
stuff,
you
it's
could, you could raise it up to support your budget for staff, if that's what you're trying to do.
But I mean, if a planner is being used within the town, you're absolutely right. Those numbers probably should go up to help support that. Which then becomes in our zoning reg project stuff. I mean, we should address that.
How many hours does the planner?
I don't know.
John, what are you
So-
contracted for? How many hours?
I'm basically there a day a week, plus meetings and such.
And that's what you're wanting to stay with, I assume?
Well, I mean, I know David's asked the question, can we, and I know he's not here, but he asked, can we go, pay by the hour? I know that this next year, we still have. Even if we finish these regs and go through this public hearing. We still have not touched subdivision regs at all.
We're gonna also talk about re-looking at fees, redoing that. When you redo things, you might as well put the new fees in there.
Right.
Going up. Yeah, it's,
Right.
it's still
Well,
work to be done.
those fees are in these regs. Those fees are all in that regs, but. We have not done the subdivision regs. And we are 4 years, we're 4 years into the P O C D. And that's gonna have to be redone.
Well, take into consideration too, when John says that he's here for an hour a week, the work that he does on the regulations. is not done.
Day.
Oh, I
So
get
there's
that.
many hours outside of
Yes,
when he's actually here.
Yeah, so it's probably 2 days a week, maybe 3 days a week, maybe, John?
That I'm working on Volantown stuff?
Yeah.
No, it wouldn't be that much. You know, so it's some weeks are busier, you know, like when we were prepping some of the grant applications, like steep grant, that was sort of a crunch. But, you know, it sort of ebbs and flows that, you know, so I think it's on average, it's about a day a week.
That's where I have problems with 50/50 because I asked for. Did you get anything from Tracy about what the planner was doing?
I didn't, because you were supposed to ask her that when you met with her.
I did, and she was gonna get it to us, and that she hasn't.
And when Julie didn't have that for you when you spoke to her today?
Nope, I did ask.
I think you guys need a planner.
I 100% agree.
I fall back to that money's given to us. I say given to us, it's just, it's being allocated to us from the same, that's why I say.
Yeah,
it's just
out of the
shocking.
same fishbowl.
Whether we're paying half,
Yeah.
but we're still getting the money from them, you know, or they just paid it all. To me,
Well,
it's
see,
getting to
that's-
him regardless.
That's how our budget has grown, because what happened was when I started this. Our budget was very small, and I could look back and I could probably tell you the number, but it was very small. It was definitely not over $2,000. The thing was like the attorney's fees and everything was coming out of the selectmen's budget. So yeah, it's all coming out of the same kitty.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, we're only approving this budget for the remaining 10 months of this year at this point, because it's already February's meeting. It's not like that goes for 5 years and we don't have any say. You have another. say
no,
next
this
January.
budget, this is July's budget.
It's for a year.
It's for a year. Goes fiscal year. Starts in July. We approve it beforehand.
I got you. Still, 1 year.
Yeah, it goes for 1 year. It goes for 1 year. John, you want to go ahead and explain those numbers?
Sure. So, the contract that I signed with the town that was taken from the town's ARPA allocation was a 2-year, project, or a 2-year contract, $48,000 a year. So $4,000 a month over 2 full years. That started November of 2021. So we're about, 15 months or so into it. It runs through November 2023. The budget that we're showing here is the town fiscal year budget. So it picks up July 1 of 2023 and goes through June of 2024. We put in the budget number, again, this is preliminary. So the first 5 months of the fiscal year budget will be covered by the ARPA grant. But we wanted to basically strategically put in, the bigger budget line item now so that, in subsequent years, there would be no change. You could, in theory, because the first 5 months are covered, will end up with a surplus in that line item over the course of the fiscal year. So if you wanted to reduce it by basically a couple of months worth, so the selectmen could take maybe, 2 months off the top, the planning and zoning could take maybe 3 months off the top, and that number could be lower. But then the following year it would be more if we kept rates level.
Okay, so those numbers don't jive that you just told us at all. So it should be 7 months, 4,000 a month is 28,000.
Right, but then divided by 2 because you're splitting it with the selectmen.
14, not 24.
Right, this is a full year.
But he
Okay,
said they
so
put in the higher number.
We put in the higher number because it's
cover
basically,
a Full year, that way it would be in the.
so I want to reduce that. I'm fine with leaving the planner, and I want to reduce that to 12,000 to show the correct amount.
For what? For John?
Yeah.
So because
Like
of
you're
the,
saying, you're gonna pay half.
Could be 14.
Should be $14,000. That's what I'd like to reduce it to.
But what's the benefit of keeping the placeholder over a full year?
Yeah,
The following year, we'll see an increase as well. So the following year.
Right, you would see a full year's,
We'll see a full year.
right,
And
but is there
I
a
would,
benefit to keeping the dollar placeholder now?
no, not at
Giving
all,
back
because
money.
then that means $10,000 goes into the general fund at the end of the year. Because it doesn't get used. That's why in the last 4 years, we put $21,000 in the general fund.
Yeah, that should only be what,
There should be
Going to spend.
$14,000.
So where does the money come from that gets allocated when you approve the budget? Doesn't come from the general fund?
No. No,
well,
So-
for half of this coming fiscal year, that's, part of this line item will be paid for out of ARPA rather than,
Right, but I'm
General
talking
fund.
like the money that funds our planning and zoning commission comes
it
from.
comes
taxes.
the taxes.
Right.
Comes
So
from
we'd
tax.
rather keep the money there instead of just dumping into a general fund.
Yes, yes.
Well, you want
John,
to be as accurate as. you
I
can
make a
here, so
motion
don't
that
get
we-
back
But you
and
want to try
charge
to
the
get zero, right?
taxpayers.
Yeah,
I make a motion that bottom line item gets moved down to $14,000.
does that cover it though?
Yeah, that covers John.
Because the planning and
Because-
zoning
Because,
budget will also have 14,000 there. Or whatever.
yeah, the
The selectmen.
selectmen's budget, yes, we'll have $14,000 there, which is
that's-
28.
Okay.
Which covers this for this year.
how's that sound with you,
And-
John?
And it doesn't matter if we fall short. We can go back to the selectmen and request more money.
But if you're contracted for a certain number of hours
Yeah.
a week at a certain price, you should know exactly what that number is.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. And that's from what John just told me, that number should be $14,000, not 20.
Well, that's what he said,
24.
that amount was for a whole year.
Yeah. And so this year will show an increase in our budget by about what was last year's budget, John?
last year's budget is right here. So the total budget line item was
So
just
we
under
were
10,000.
So we're increasing by almost $14,000. And then the following year,
We're gonna
we'll end up
increase like another
another
$14,000
another
on top,
$14,000. I would rather see that. Why? Because this isn't a full, it's 7 months, not 12 that we're paying on.
It's, I think it's 8. Because I think it's would be November, December, and then the first 6 months of the year.
All right, so add
8
another,
times 4 is 32, so 16 grand, yeah,
so it's 18 grand versus
16 each,
what?
16 each,
16 each.
16 us, 16
Yeah,
selectmen,
16.
yeah, 32,000.
Do you want to move to 16 then?
For 1 year?
No, for 8 months.
Yeah. No, for,
Well, so for the fiscal year, you'd be setting aside 16 out of yours.
so here's what's happened. John's on a grant money right now.
Right.
For 5 months of next year. 5 months of that budget.
4 now, 4.
Right,
July,
at what,
August, September, October.
That's a month.
$1 a month, but we're only paying half of it.
We only
We're
pay
paying
2.
2. So
Yeah,
that's
so we need to
16.
make that 16, yeah, so we don't fall short of 1.
I'm fine with 16.
okay. Yeah, you just put in whatever it is you're gonna end up paying.
Right.
Does that sound all right to you, John?
Sure, that yeah, I think it's sort of just a paper, where the numbers appear, but the contract is the same.
Okay.
And if it's useful, Mr. Chair, I haven't done an update recently. About 10 months ago or so, the selectmen had asked, after I was, through about 6 months of my service to the town, had asked, sort of for an accounting of activities, and I provided with them like a sort of a 2-page summary that I'd be happy to circulate. It's several months old, and we could update it, but just to give a sense of some of the activities that I've been providing to the town.
that would be wonderful, because when I asked, you know, I knew what you were doing for us. I don't know what you're kind of doing for the selectmen, other than, you know, some grants, but I don't know time-wise what you're putting into everything. And I have not received that.
Yeah.
So if you have something, John, that would be wonderful.
All right, I'll forward it to you.
Okay, thank you. So does somebody want to approve that budget
I'll make a motion that we approve the budget for the
with the change?
change to 16,000.
Okay,
One second.
okay, all in favor? Aye,
Aye.
opposed? None? Motion carries.
Do you have a capital fund for your P O C D?
They. For a P O C D, no. Well, so they wanted to take that money out of there. Last time we did the P O C D and it never did. We had to put a line item in our budget.
Yeah, like 1,000 isn't what a P O C D costs at
No,
all.
we put in like $5,000.
It's more like 40 usually,
Yeah,
but
well, yeah, and you can see what we got for $5,000. So we'll leave it at that.
more than that, actually.
So,
But it's just
Well, and
curious,
that's
if you
what I
did it
mean,
over
like, we're gonna-
capital, like 2,000 this year capital, you know,
Yeah.
go your next 8 years or whatever you're at.
Yeah.
You don't know if they do that.
they don't.
Might want to recommend that then. To put it there versus, you know,
Right.
versus
We just,
hitting you that one, the year that it's about to come up.
Yeah.
They can put it in a capital not recurring
Yep.
fund and then you'll have something anyway.
and I would be fine with that too. I mean, we can, so there's a budget workshop. I mean, if somebody wanted to go to it. And suggest that,
When
and I
is
think John, did we have we had paperwork on that too?
On the POCD, is that what we're saying?
Well, no, about,
The budget workshop, you should have it like on one of your calendar notifications that I sent you for maybe last month. The worksheet, the worksheet is all included in that packet.
That's what I thought. Okay.
there, so that's zoning regulation update discussion. John, you're up.
Okay, so, as you recall, okay, bring up the right file. We had split out, per your, recommendations, the sections 8, 9, and 10 from the current regulations, because they were sort of a jumble of, site plan requirements, procedures, special permit criteria, and sort of special regulations. So I've started to reorganize these, and we sort of approved the outline. And I've basically begun to populate this. This is going to take another few weeks at least. And there are, so what you have in your packets is sort of a work in progress, where section 8 is basically the administrative procedures for permitting that goes through sort of the administrative permits that would be handled by Pete or the zoning officer. The process for that, and then the special permit criteria, which to a certain extent I'm building from other regulation examples, because our special permit requirements and procedure was a little bit out of date and a little bit muddled. So I'm adding in stuff about preliminary discussion, referrals, hearings, the criteria for review. And then I'm have placeholders here for the decision, filing, bonding, that sort of thing. Section 9 is the actual site plan and development standards for things that need to be in an application, need to be on a map, that go into a number of things. One of the things that goes into that we want to talk about at some point, doesn't need to be right now, is parking ratios, which I goes through all kinds of different uses and the parking ratios for them. Not sure what they're based on, probably borrowed from other municipal examples. Philosophically, I've been moving farther and farther away from this, and been recommending to communities that for special permits, that you basically get rid of your your numerical parking ratios and rely on the developer to propose, to basically estimate the number of parking spaces they'll need and show that they can provide for them. Basically, estimate their parking demand, show their math and prove that they have them. And essentially trust the market to provide sufficient parking. That's a larger philosophical question we can get into, but I just wanted to flag these things as I was reorganizing the regs for things that you may want to rethink. Because I haven't seen, frankly, a particularly good authoritative document that shows, one space per 250 square feet of retail square footage is correct. And actually works, because you can have an extremely busy retail operation, you can have an extremely quiet retail operation, and treating them all the same is sort of an exercise in futility. Anyway, so that's something that I think we should talk about at some point, and that may be a workshop when we have a full draft.
Well, I agree with that totally,
Yeah.
because you get them to justify based on historical use, because what happens is all of us feed each other's parking ratios, but from different towns and different types of towns, and they're
And different
irrelevant, and it
businesses.
doesn't allow for flexibility in the future either. And then you have, Uber and other things that have come into the world since we all adopted our parking regs and don't want to touch them because that's a fate worse than death. It's like sign regulations, you just leave them alone, but so I agree with that, to try to pull away from that and leave the owners on the developer to justify,
So that's,
provide historical data.
and we've seen this in like folks like Dollar General, or people that have lots and lots of retail experience will know exactly how many parking spots they need, and they very often do not line up at all with what the regulations say.
Yeah.
The market, I on something like that, I tend to trust the market. And frankly, if someone says, no, I only need 5 spaces, and they get popular, and all of a sudden nobody can park there, they fail, and the market worked. It's anyway.
Yeah, and you can also require a reserve area that's not built out, but you
Sure.
identify it on the plan as a possible.
I know.
Overflow.
Some older stuff that, and you see half the parking
Right.
lots are.
Yeah, now the trend is to try to infill in the front and keep parking behind.
So that's just one example, and then I need to build out some of the other standards: lighting, landscaping, architectural considerations. And then I've been gradually populating in the supplementary use regulations that you've already had in your regulations. I added the new accessory apartment reg. You'd already written the beer and brew pubs a couple of years ago, earth excavation, and so on. There are a couple in here as I start to populate these from different parts of the existing reg that I realize are sort of incomplete and not sure exactly what we want to say. So on page 11, this is section 10.7, hotels, motels, and bed and breakfasts. They're all it really says is a requirement for driveways and off-street parking. There's I think there's a lot more that you may want to regulate or discuss when it comes to motels and hotels. But that wasn't in the current reg. So again, as I'm going through and reorganizing, I want to flag some of these things for further discussion.
Well, I got a question. 10.1 prohibited uses.
Yeah, that's
10.1.6, any activity which produces unreasonable noise, blah, blah, blah. Whose determination of unreasonable noise? Anybody can walk in here and complain though.
yeah, no, that's
Just eliminate that, just.
That's in your special permit criteria. It will be always.
it's and that's and nuisance generally speaking is you find that in almost every zoning regulation in the state. But yeah, and that's the origin of most neighbor conflicts is someone's playing music or someone's bending sheet metal in their garage as a side gig, and the neighbors complain, and it's up to the zoning officer to try to determine whether or not that's unreasonable or objectionable. That's a tricky one.
Like, it doesn't say who's,
yeah,
in charge of unreasonable.
you gotta change, your word character out of your special permit criteria. Remember, it's gotta say,
Oh, do we still have that in there? Okay.
Yeah, that-
Whereas in the decision criteria?
8.2.4.3.4. I'm like, God, let's figure out different numbers. You know, that no significantly adverse effect would result
Yep.
to the character of the district.
Yep.
Say to the physical site characteristics of the
No, that's a good call.
word characters out. And then I saw another one, you know, the 21-29 stuff. So minimum square foot for an accessory dwelling. I thought we weren't allowed to do that. Just got for building code.
Correct.
So that's 10.2.3.1. And did you opt out of the parking thing? You opt out of?
No,
20?
they didn't opt out. I actually, is the minimum square footage, I think, isn't that in 21-29?
You're not allowed to have a minimum. It's
No,
just
but
per the
yeah,
code.
for some reason, I thought that was pulled from the, I'm just gonna check real quick, but, I know that they eliminated the arbitrary dwelling size. Hold on.
And I can't remember what the minimum is of the building code, because it's usually by room, but like 250, what is it for a bedroom, and 50 per bathroom, there's sizes, so I can't remember what it adds up to, but more than I think it's less than 400.
Yeah, no, you're right. So not less than maximum floor, not less than 30%. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so we can take that out.
And parking, 2 parking per dwelling unit, I'd have to look at 21-29 again to see what it was, but to check that.
We did check that before. I think that was
It's no more than 2 per.
Where are you?
I just, what the parking there, I saw
Oh, yes,
parking
right.
requirement, so.
For apartments, yes, that's correct. We did not opt out of that.
Okay. Only
So
one
the,
space can be required for 1 bedroom and no more than 2 parking spaces for 2 or more bedrooms, so I think
I think we're okay.
you're right there.
The one
So
bed-
again, this is sort of a work in progress, and as I said, we're sort of flagging things as we go. When I sort of assemble everything here, then we can kind of talk about some of the bigger philosophical decisions.
Yeah. You actually have to change that one, because the dwelling unit could be 1 bedroom,
Where are you?
9.3.7.1.
Yeah, well, parking ratios, I think, parking ratios in general, I think we want to, but yeah,
You could have a couple living there and each one of them has their own car to get back and forth to work or something.
No, you can't require
well,
it,
yeah, no, people,
not allowed to require it. yeah.
right. People can voluntarily provide whatever they want, but it's
Like you
What-
can't deny it based on they don't have it. And then, probably accessory apartments. That could be tightened up a little bit. It's sort of repetitive about the building code, health code. I mean, I think. Like you don't need no accessory dwelling unit should be located in a basement unless approved means of egress is provided. You couldn't have it in the basement if it didn't pass the building code, which requires adequate egress. I mean, you don't need to say it.
yeah,
You just have to say it. Have to meet building and health codes. And then no additional curb cut. You could take out like 4 of those lines. Because they're repetitive.
Mhm. Okay.
We did take a took out that, what was that crazy regulation about? Number of rooms of the hotel per acre, and it turned out you would need 100 acres to have like. Five
that-
rooms.
I think that was in the table of uses,
Oh,
that it was sort of embedded in there that I would have to pull that out and relocate it in the special reg.
Don't relocate it.
Yeah, we'll relocate it to the,
It wasn't there, when you did the math, there wasn't a parcel big enough in the
Right.
zone that could ever. You'd have a one-room hotel.
Yeah.
Mhm. It was funny, but. By the way. Can I steal your cannabis regs for another town?
of course,
Thank you.
these were cobbled together from 3 or 4 different towns.
Yeah, I've got these in North Stonington, so I was gonna. Give away.
Okay, we good on these regs for now?
Yeah, they still got a little ways to go in there.
All right, it's looking good, John.
Oh, one more thing. 30 days, 30 business days for a certificate, post-development certificate of approval. That's a long time.
Where are you?
Just 8.1.7. So this is your administrative stuff.
Yeah,
Through the whole process, they say, I'm done. And the banks, you know how that process is.
Well,
Right
I
at the
get
end,
that.
everybody's ready.
But
30 days.
remember, he's only in here 2
No,
days a week,
That's still kind of long.
and if he has an issue,
Pete, you're here. That typical?
Pete,
Pete?
hello.
What was the question?
here, I'll share my screen, hold on.
The certificate of zoning compliance. After they're done, you know, with the house or whatever. You have 30 days to issue the. Certificate of compliance.
I've never followed that in my life.
Okay.
Might as well just get rid of it.
I mean, you could say 2 weeks or something, but
This is, I mean, you know, this is the regulation that would sort of bind administrative process. So if you know,
this just struck me as a long time.
well, I think the thinking behind it was he's part-time, and if he's not in here for a couple weeks, at least it gives him some time, that he's not on the hook.
Yeah.
But,
You want
but
a
I,
little more
I
friendly
can understand 2 weeks,
residents.
and
21 days,
Yeah.
something, you know, whatever, something.
that's fine. But I think the logic was, you know, we don't have a full-time,
Yeah.
and I mean, you know, if Pete is, you know, in this case, Pete is the building official doing the CO anyway.
Right.
So those things would probably be done simultaneously in any event, but you know, that's not necessarily always the case.
I mean, if you want to reduce that number, I'm fine with that, but or get rid of it all.
Or just get rid of it.
Yeah, get rid of it altogether.
And then you could be nice to your CEO and require a property history map for a free split so that they don't have to go do the title search.
Well, I don't think Pete does.
I said on the flip side of that coin is it's giving you a maximum amount of time that you have to get it done.
Yeah.
So you can't delay somebody further.
Right. I mean, it's essentially based on like your you know, your building permit review type of thing.
Yeah.
You know, this is at the end.
Right. Is it, Pete, do you have a time limit on issuing a CO?
No.
All right, whatever, it doesn't matter, it just stood out as long, because I just know that they want their construction loan, you know, sort of released. It's always a race at the end.
Well, you know what? The ones who want it at the end are the ones who aren't in compliance.
Oh,
That is what I have
That's what
learned.
happened.
Well, I was gonna say,
Here.
I think in the past, the bigger issues probably have been driveway permits getting signed off at the very end.
Yes.
To be
Yes,
honest with you, I think
Yes.
that's usually what is
because
the
we
whole-
can't release the CO until they sign.
Yeah, I can release the CO. That's why you put a bond in place. It's always screwed up. It's like you put the bond in place so that if the driveway is not complete, then the town can complete it by using that bond money.
Correct.
It doesn't have anything to do with the CO of the house.
Right, because you could have to pave it in the winter and you can't pave it.
Right, exactly. They shut down asphalt plants in the middle of winter. You can't do anything about it. I'm not gonna hold somebody from moving into a house where everything's done except for the apron.
Landscaping.
And that's why you got the bond in place. The bond's there to cover that.
We good?
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to read through it carefully.
Well, what
so
did
I'll
we
be
decide?
fine.
What did we decide?
So I'll keep working on this.
It's still a
and you'll
work
get-
in progress.
you'll
Look
get an
at it.
updated
through
draft
if there's anything you
before the
want
next
to
meeting.
work. So correspondence was just the letter from CCOG that was in our packet.
Yes,
And I think there's a NECOG one in my email. And I'll look, but I could be totally crazy, but
if you send that off to me, I'll forward it on to everybody.
that's fine. The other thing is, John, I wanted to ask you on the packet that we got, those regs, the cannabis regs, you sent those to the attorney, correct?
Correct, and
Anything?
he did provide a markup that just had 2 or 3 word changes.
Which is
That-
what you have in your packet.
Okay.
The changes are included
The
in what
changes,
is in there,
okay.
yes.
It's just literally just 2 or 3 words that
Okay.
he wanted to.
Yeah, and I didn't even think about it last month when we were talking about it, that it probably should be looked over to make sure we were legitimate.
Yeah, I figured we would, because we've already sort of sent around the draft reg.
Yep.
We'd stay with that, but then when we're at the public hearing, we can go through Rich's proposed amendments and, include those as part of a motion.
Okay.
Why did you have to send it to CCOG? I thought you guys were NECOG.
Because we abut CCOG
We have what?
towns. You have to send it to the
Budding,
region,
in the regs, this is a budding
The reg amendment. Not
no, in the statutes.
a.
statute does, yes, the statute does.
So, well, yeah, Ledyard, you guys don't abut any
Yeah. so you
NECOG towns, right? No. But when you were in North Stonington, in theory, you probably should have sent them to NECOG also.
Never did.
I don't think NECOG responds much, but yeah, there's a couple of towns like,
Activity that acted, not a reg change, just an activity. Staff talked about an activity that.
Yeah,
Not a reg amendment,
right,
You're the treasurer,
yeah.
so. Kate, you have anything for us?
No, not too much. Brown Road's moving along, getting closer and closer. I got one complaint for junk I gotta follow up on Beach Pond Road. I got in last week, so.
Complaint for me?
Oh, no, you didn't complain
Oh, no, I thought you said for junk.
you.
Oh,
for junk.
oh, for junk, okay.
Junk. For junk.
I thought you said junk.
I just as a heads up, we're also working on, I'm working with Tracy on a grant application. It's a rural transportation grant called TRIP. Hopefully looking to extend the sidewalk network from where it ends right now at Beachdale Road, all the way easterly to the commercial plaza there. So we basically connect, all that stuff for pedestrians. So we know a lot of kids and a lot of people walk there, and it's not the safest of stretches of roads. So we're looking for, I don't know, it'll probably end up being, I guess $750,000 or so, because it'll probably, there's this stream there that crosses, that we were just looking at some preliminary design, probably do like a pedestrian bridge along the side.
If you don't have, they put Toad up here.
But, oh yeah, we hopefully not. We'll keep the Toad Highway free.
Yeah, we should have a festival. And have this, like the Spadefoot Toad Festival that sabotages 90% of the development project in the area for a year.
Or the spotted salamanders.
Right, and have it like on the bridge.
What was the one that
Little
Fox
monkey
was
toes, but have it be the Spadefoot.
They ran
Toad.
into some
Little
owl or
salamander.
bird that held up that Great Wolf Lodge for, I forget how long. They ran or some bird at one tree that they had to knock down over there where they were gonna put it in the parking lot.
So anyway, so we're working on that.
More sidewalk.
Anybody else have anything?
Shame about that, the surveyor that was just in here for our last subdivision.
Oh, yeah.
That killed.
Who
What?
did?
Yeah, the,
John Police?
no,
No, no,
what
no.
was the subdivision, on, it's like the two.
Oh,
lot
yeah,
subdivision.
yeah.
What was his name?
From Killing.
Mark Sullivan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mark Sullivan, I couldn't get over that. We just, he was
Yeah.
just been in here
Oh.
that week before, 2 weeks.
What
before.
happened?
He got hit by a train, walking his dogs.
How do
He
you
was,
get
he was
by a
trying,
train?
he was trying to save his dogs from the train tracks and he ended up
Getting too close.
Oh,
and I don't know what the word was on the dog.
Yeah, I didn't hear either, I just couldn't, I was surprised.
I know,
The older
yeah,
gentleman.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Thanks.
But he had just been in.
Yeah.
Right,
Well,
8:02, somebody want to,
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 8:02.
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.